Hi boys and girls, I'm Miss Finley and I'm with Learning Labs. I'm your mystery reader for today and I'll be reading chapters 29 through 31. This is my helper here. This is Nora Kate. Her name is Nora, just like one of our characters in the book. Let's start with chapter 29. Questions. Louis crouched beside Nora and gently stroked Winslow's head. Relieved when Winslow's ears twitched, he was alive and he was safe. "Thank you," Louis whispered. "For what?" "For finding him, for saving him. I was so worried." "Shh, why?" "Why? Because he was missing and I thought he was lost or hurt or he could have been run over or fallen in the creek or..." "Shh." All the while Nora sat completely still, gazing down the hill. She was wearing a bright red sweater and her hair was piled on top of her head in a top knot. She reminded Louis of a tomato. "I have to take him home, Nora. We have to get to school." Winslow woke, blinked, turned from Nora to Louis, and flapped his lips. "You woke him up." "We can't sit here all day." "I guess not." "Here, then you'll want this." She handed Winslow's leash to Louis and raced off, running home. It wasn't until Louis reached his own house, opened Winslow's pen, removed his leash, and went to hang it on his hook that he thought, how did Nora get Winslow's leash? Louis was eager to see Nora at school and find out where and when she had found Winslow, but she was not in the cafeteria at lunchtime and he did not see her among the crowds of students leaving after school. When he arrived, Mac was kneeling in Winslow's pen talking to him, but as soon as Winslow sensed Louis approaching, he waggled his ears and let out a loud gurgling ear. Winslow buried his muzzle in Louis' stomach and munched on his sweater. "I wonder when and how he got out," Max said. "I'm not sure when," Louis said, "but I think I left the gate unlatched. I must have." He was too embarrassed to admit he probably also left Winslow's leash attached. "You ought to get a lock in this gate," Max said. Anyone could come along and take him, or let him out to run away. But he'd raise such a ruckus, he'd scare a stranger away. It bothered Louis that Winslow had run away. Chapter 30. Gus Fan Club. Saturday morning was gloomy, with fog blanketing the house and yard. Louis rummaged in his closet until he found one of Gus's sweatshirts. It was thick and warm and still smelled of Gus. When he entered the kitchen, his mother said, "Great minds think alike." She, too, was wearing one of Gus's sweatshirts. "Wait till you see your dad." Before he could ask why, Louis's father emerged from the basement. He was wearing Gus's varsity football jacket. "See what I mean?" his mother said. "Look at us. We're a Gus fan club." "Miss that boy," his father said. "Can't help worrying about him." A faint knock at the door startled them. Perhaps they were each thinking or hoping, "Gus. Could it be Gus? Or worse, is it bad news about Gus?" It was Nora, huddled up in a bright yellow rain jacket with the hood pulled up over her hair. Her face was so small within. "I was just walking," she said. "Oh, do you want to come in?" "No, well, I don't know." "We're eating breakfast. Want some?" "I ate." Nora looked left and right and then up and down. "Maybe I'll go check on Winslow. That okay?" "I'll come with you, show you where his food is. You can feed him if you want." Winslow hopped onto the hay bale and then into the air and flung himself against Nora and Louis, hopping and wagging his tail and flicking his ears. He nibbled their sleeves. "He's the funniest thing, isn't he?" Louis said. Winslow's muzzle was pure white now and his coat pale gray. Bless you. Down his spine was a darker stripe, and across his shoulder lay another dark stripe, making it seem as if he were wearing a cross. He wiggled and wobbled and darted here and there, between their legs, up to the hay bale, leaping down again. "I didn't see you at school yesterday," Louis said. "Oh, I wanted to ask you. About finding Winslow? You had his leash? You didn't want him walking around these roads without it, did you?" "No. But how did you get his leash in the first place?" "You silly, it was right there on the hook in the pen." 31. Hey there. Uncle Pete's blue truck rumbled into the driveway, stopping near the pen. Agitated by the stranger, Winslow brayed loudly and insistently, a combination of honks and gurgles and screeches. "Hey there," Uncle Pete called. Nora retreated behind Louis. "Who is that?" "That's Uncle Pete. Wouldn't hurt a fly." The imposing form of Uncle Pete, clad in a blue plaid shirt, overalls, and rubber boots covered in muck, did not reassure Nora. "He's so big," she whispered. "Hey there," Uncle Pete repeated. "Who's your friend, Louie? How's the donkey?" "He sure has grown. I never thought he'd make it. Ear, aw, honk." Winslow backed up, shielding Louie and Nora from this big creature approaching. "This is Nora. She found Winslow the other day when he got lost." Uncle Pete put his hands on his hips. "Lost? He didn't get lost," Nora said. "Ear, burp, bonk, honk." "What?" Louie said. "He didn't get lost." "But, you kids, I don't know what you're talking about," Uncle Pete said. "Your parents up yet, Louie?" He didn't wait for an answer, though. He tapped at the door and walked on in, calling out, "Hey there, got coffee?" Our next mystery reader will start with chapter 32, and we can continue learning about the story of Winslow, Louie, and Nora. Have a great day.